Hey, hello there. Welcome. I am live. I love going live. And yes, this is me. Some people have thought it is AI now when people are going live. So just know this is the real me, not AI at all. And I need to click go live. Hang on. There I am on Instagram, and then I'll come back. All right. Welcome. I'm just so excited to be here today sharing what is part 3 of our year, the farm marketing business plan training. I do this every year, and there's going to be 4 parts. And by the end of it, you will have a amazing vision of what your 2026 is going to look like and what you need to focus on to get to profit. So hopefully you've seen parts 1 and part 2. This is part 3, and part 4 will be out next week. But let's get into today. So today is more about the numbers we're going to track. There are numbers that you should be tracking, and there are numbers that don't matter and you shouldn't be tracking. And today I'm going to break down what some of those are. So just know that. And if you have questions, you can ask. I'm in like 3 or 4 different places. So if you leave questions on the post itself, I can always come back later and answer if I don't see them while I'm live. All right. So just know that. The other thing I want to mention is I am I'm doing what's called the Farm Marketing Fix. It's a 2-day live event in January. Where I will be reviewing farmers' marketing pieces, whether it's their websites or sales emails or newsletters or social media posts. Farmers who want feedback to make 2026 their most profitable year ever. You'll want to be there live. You're going to learn all kinds of things about what is working in today's farm marketing world. And you could sign up for that. It's free again, and that's at charlottemsmith.com/masterclass. It takes place on January 19th and 20th. And everything's going to be recorded if you can't make it live. And the other really cool part about this live or that Farm Marketing Fix event is I'm opening up a pop-up Facebook group for 1 week where I will go live every day in that Facebook group and teach additional things and answer questions and give lots of marketing feedback every day for a week. So be sure you signed up. You'll get all the replays and you'll hear about Farm Marketing Mastery, where farmers are just creating profitable, successful, calm farms like no one has ever done before in the farming world. So can't wait to see you January 19th and 20th. Okay. So now remember, if you are already my client, you have the 2-hour training of this 4-part series along with I help you get your year on a wall. The calendaring part of the class is all in that training. So if you're a client, you have that video training already. This is just what I can teach you in like 30 minutes on a podcast episode. Okay. So what I want you to do is grab a sheet of notebook paper. It's so important that you actually do this work and implement it. You don't want to just think about it. So if this is the first time you're listening through and you want to think about it while you're listening, fine, but be sure to come back with notebook paper and do it and actually write down your answers. I do this exercise once a year. This is probably the 12th time I've done this exercise. And it doesn't matter how many times you do it, you will get better and better every single year, and you will reach bigger and bigger goals every year when you implement it. So just know that you want to actually take the time to write down the answers to these questions. Okay, so as we're continuing from part 1 and 2, the next step in your business marketing plan for 2026 is you got to know some numbers. All right, it's really important to know several pieces of crucial data in your business, and it's often overlooked by lots of farmers. So if this is you, if you don't know the numbers I'm going to talk about today, don't beat yourself up. You're just going to learn today to start to create the habit. So currently, if you don't take time to look at any of the stats or numbers I'm going to talk about today, well, then consider this the first time that you're going to do it and start to revisit these numbers once a week or a couple times a month. because what you track is what grows. If you're not looking at your numbers, it's going to be very slow growing a profitable farm. So just know that. All right. The other thing I want you to do is use today as just a jumping off point. Like I said, use this as encouragement to get started if you've never tracked any numbers before. Also, if you're a brand new farm and this is the first time, well, that's okay. Just write down the numbers as I go through them today. Don't worry that you don't have anything to compare them to. If you have been tracking, well, this is your baseline to compare for next year and to compare to last year. And I think the crucial thing I want you to remember here is don't use any of these numbers to beat yourself up. Okay. Knowing this information that I'm going to take you through today, the answers to these questions, it's for you. It's to help you make informed decisions in your business. So it's, again, don't use these numbers today that we're going to take a look into in a deep dive. Don't use them against yourselves. Don't use them to beat yourself up. All right. Now, I want you to choose a big number. Like, what is the what is your sales goal for the year? I just want you to have an idea of what that might be. If it's your first year of business, you have to guess. Write down your best guess. But if you've been in business for a while and you've had some experience with sales, what do you think you want your goal to be this year? I just coached a client. Last year was her first year of business. She did $4,000. 2025 was her second year of business. She did $10,000 in my program. And now using my goal setting process, her goal for 2026 is $20,000. So that's a brand new farmer. And so it doesn't matter where you are, but just have an idea of what do you want your big sales goal to be for the year. Now, the next thing I want you to do is let's talk about customer numbers. All right. The first part of that is how many customers do you average per week? And this is the week during the season. So if you're a flower farm and you're only selling for 6 months of the year, how many customers do you average per week? I coached 2 farmers this week. Both of them average about 10 farmers a week in their farm store. So how many customers do you average? And this could be, if you don't have a farm store, this would be your farmer's market booth. Or if you only sell online, this would be how many orders do you have online each week? So just grab that number. How many orders, how many shoppers do you have a week? If you sell in multiple places, it would be your farm store combined with your farmer's market booth, combined with your online orders too. So how many did you average this year? Now, what I want you to do is take a look at last year. How many did you average a year ago on the days you were open? Okay, versus how many you average now. And remember, you're not supposed to this is neutral information. It's not positive or negative. One is not better than the other. How many did you average this year? How many did you average at the same time the year before? Just write down the numbers as they currently are. Now, when I started my farm back in 2009, which has been quite a few years ago now, I had 20 customers a week from the get-go. From the very day I opened my farm, I averaged 20 customers a week. The reason I got 20 customers a week from the start every single week was because I do what I teach all of you to do, and that is to start building your email list and your customer list before you ever have product to sell. So I started marketing my farm about a year before I ever had anything to sell. And what happened was I hit the ground running with money coming in from the start as soon as I had product to sell because of that. So again, I had 20 weekly customers from the moment I opened. And if that's not you, if you just started your farm and you just started marketing and it's a lot fewer than that, no problem. All right. So again, we're just grabbing numbers, and it's really important to neutralize those numbers and not make them mean anything negative about yourself. All right. Okay. So then the next thing I want you to look at is how many customers did you gain over the year? So maybe it's maybe you started your farm a year ago and you have 20 weekly customers. So you gained 20 customers from the start to today. Or maybe you look inside Square. If you use Square for payment processing, you know that last year you sold 20 CSA subscriptions and this year you sold 40. So you gained 20 customers over the year. So we're looking at how many did you gain this year over last. So I had 20 weekly customers my first year when I started my farm, and by the next year I had about 60 weekly customers. So I gained 40 customers in that year. That's what we're looking for. Maybe last year you sold 10 whole cows by the quarter. That was to 40 different families, 40 different people. And this year you sold 15 whole cows to people, 60 customers. So you went from 40 to 60. You increased by 20 customers. Maybe you dropped in customers. This is important to know. And it's not to make you wrong or to feel bad, but it's so that you can fix that if your goal was actually to increase. And again, you can't fix what you don't know is broken. So if you notice that, whoa, this year we had 80 weekly customers and last year we had 100 weekly customers, we decreased. That's not what we want to do. Now you know. That's good intel to have. You want that information. Okay. Maybe you chose to decrease your numbers intentionally. For instance, maybe you had this year, my daughter graduated high school, so we slowed things down at a certain time that year. Maybe you are pregnant, having a baby. Maybe you're taking care of aging parents this year. Maybe you have a sabbatical plan. So maybe you intentionally are having fewer customers this year. Again, it's just the data. We just want the numbers, all right? Now we're going to look at your email list growth, okay? So far we've tracked weekly customers, the amount of customers we increased over last year. Let's look at your email list growth. How many email subscribers did you have 1 year ago? Like right now, as I'm filming this live, it's December. So December of last year, how many email list subscribers did you have? In December of this year, how many do you have? Now you know how many subscribers you gained. I gained about, what would that be? Mine was about 5% of my email subscribers over the last year. No, it was way more than that. It was actually about 15% of my email subscribers. I grew that many subscribers over the last year. So if you had 20 subscribers a year ago and you have 150 today, you gained 130 email subscribers. As an example, one of my clients, Vanessa, she started my program with 80 subscribers on her email list, and about 6 months later, she had 800 subscribers to her email list. So that's what we're looking at. What is the number today versus 1 year ago? And that's it. Now, if you don't have an email marketing software provider yet, just choose one. I use Kit.com. I love it. There's MailChimp. There's hundreds of them, and they work great. So just choose one. It truly is the only legal way to send sales email. So if you are sending email through your, say, personal Gmail account and you're trying to sell your products that way, that's illegal. It's against the anti-spam laws. And I have seen farmers get their email accounts locked up, and then all of a sudden they have access to no emails that they've collected ever again, because the only legal email or legal way to collect emails is through email marketing software. So just choose one, get it set up. It's free usually for the first 500 or 1,000 people, depending on which plan you choose or which different one you choose. So just choose one. There is no reason not to have an email service provider today. They are free for when you get started. By the time you reach the point where you have to pay for it, you will be making money if you implement the marketing practices I teach. So I think I was making about 150,000 in sales a year at a 30% profit margin when I finally surpassed the free version and had to pay for it, like $20 a month. $20 a month is nothing when you're making profit. So the free version is great enough to get you to the profitable part where you can then afford to pay for it. So just sign up for one. Again, I've got my free training on January 19th and 20th. We'll talk a lot more about that then. Okay. So just know it doesn't matter if you went from 50 to 150 people or 2,000 to 5,000. You just got to know these numbers. The other thing to remember on an email list is everybody starts at zero. So if you don't have that email software provider, choose one today, sign up for it, and know that you're going to be zero. And that's where everyone starts. Okay. So become very familiar with these numbers. This is you being a strategic business owner. You don't start a farm and become a physical laborer doing all the work, and then customers just magically show up. If you start a farm, having a farm business, selling direct to consumer is as much about you being the CEO of your business as it is running a farm. You got to learn both sides of it. Your farm won't grow and your sales won't grow to the point where they can pay your bills if you're not intentionally tracking these numbers. So, got to learn how to track them, learn how to grow them. That's what I teach, and be intentional about it. I suggest you check in with these numbers about once a week. And again, if you've never paid attention to these numbers before today, you're not alone, but it's time to start now. You will be in such a better spot next year, a year from now, when you've got a year of tracking under your belt. So start now. Okay, now we're going to dive into some email metrics. So on your emails, I want you to take a look at what is your average open rate on your marketing emails. This is you'll find it inside your email marketing software, whether that's Kit or MailChimp, whatever they might be. And write down this open rate. Okay. Make a note of it. And again, if you're in my program, you have the workbook with all the that you can print out and follow along and fill in these numbers. So you've got a blank spot right there to fill in this number. Write down the open rate and don't judge it. It's not good or bad. Remember, all these numbers are just neutral. In Farm Marketing Mastery, I have advanced marketing strategies sessions and coaching calls, and that's where we dive into figuring out what the meaning might be behind your numbers so you can grow them. But for this exercise today, don't make your numbers mean something negative. Our brains, just so you know this, our brains always want to go to the negative and the critical. They're wired that way. Our biology makes our brains want to go negative. So you have to intentionally decide to not be negative about your numbers. It'll just hold you back if you do that. And the other thing I want you to know on open rates is sometimes our lowest open rates in my business and on my farm, lowest open rates were often the highest sales. And I go into detail why this is so in my marketing program. But that is the reason you don't want to judge if your open rate is good or bad. It's not good or bad, it just is. So write down that number. And often the other thing to know about this is typically the smaller your list is, the smaller your email list is, the larger your open rate will be. And then as your list grows, your open rate will go down a little bit. So if you have 100 people on your list and you're emailing them in the way I teach, you could have an 80 or 90% open rate or higher, because those are often your friends, your family, the people that are closest to you. What happens though is you start adding people to your email list. Maybe you get to 1,000. You start to lose that personal connection. All of a sudden, you don't know everyone on your email list, and your open rate will start to drop a little bit. It might be 50%. And then maybe at 5,000 people, your open rate is 30% or 40%, or 10,000 people, it drops down to 30%. My open rate nowadays is about 43%. And again, not good or bad, right or wrong. It is what it is. It used to be higher when my list was much smaller, but all of this is neutral. Don't put any meaning onto it, especially negative meaning. Okay. And also don't compare your open rates to anyone else's. It will only serve you to compare your open rates now, today, with what your open rate was, say, 6 months ago or a year ago. That shows you how you're growing. It shows you if you're compelling people to open and read your emails. The more, as your open rate increases, it's because people recognize that there's something compelling in there they want to read. So it only serves you to compare you today to you 6 months ago or a year ago, not to other farmers. All right, the next number you want to track is your average click rate. Same thing, you'll find this in your email marketing software. Write it down. Doesn't make it good or bad. How we use it in Farm Marketing Mastery, as an example, is today someone we looked through her email marketing software, and there was an email with a huge, like 10 times the clicks as any other email. So we took that email. That's really good feedback. When you have those emails that are getting a lot more clicks than something else, we want to look at them. Why? What was interesting about them? What can we learn from that we can then apply to some other email? Because it means they were clicking over to see, in this case, what she had for sale. So how were we able to compel them to check out what she had for sale at 10 times the rate of before? So that's how we want to use open rates to serve us. And, but you can only do that if you know the numbers. So just be tracking, or the click rates, be tracking these click rates. And again, I like to keep an average, and be checking them once a week, or at the very least once a month. But once a week, twice a month are great. Once a month would be okay as well. But please don't just check them once a year. All right. The next number I want you to track is ad returns. Returns on your ad spend. So if you place Facebook ads or Instagram ads, which I place through Business Manager, look up the dollar return on those ads. So how many sales did you make based on how much you spent? Now, please know, I'm not telling you to go place Facebook ads if you haven't done that yet. It probably took me 5 years to learn Facebook ads by doing them. That's how you learn them, by doing them. And I lost a lot of money in that time. So I'm not telling you to go do ads, but if you've done them, track how much money you made versus how much you spent on them. And it probably took me 5 years to start seeing a return. Like sometimes in individual ads, I would see a return, but over the months, it was often that I was breaking even or losing money. It took about 5 years till I started making money on ads, because you got to think of Facebook ads, Instagram ads as the long game. All right. It's kind of like casinos in Las Vegas. The house always wins. So there's a huge learning curve with ads. And once you figured it out, you can definitely help bring your farm more customers with ads. But just know that you're going to spend a lot of money at first with the learning curve of learning to place ads. So if you placed ads, know those numbers. If you spent $2,000 on ads last year and you made $2,000, be happy with that. Even if you spent $2,000 and you made $1,500 from that ad, that's fine too, because you added all those people to your email list, and they will become customers over time when you implement the marketing that I teach. So that's why knowing the immediate ad spend is not always the whole story. The other thing you got to know is, if you can't make any money without ads, you won't be successful making money with ads. This can be really confusing to people. They think that I'm not making money without ads, so I'm going to place an ad and then I'll make money. It doesn't work that way. You've got to learn what I call organic marketing first. That's where every farmer has to start. You got to learn how to sell to people around you without ads in order to have your ads be successful. So just know that if you did ads, let's track the money you made from them. If you did not do ads, let's get you profitable without ads first, then ads will work in the future. All right, the next number I want you to track is your gross sales and your expenses. So how much money, sorry, I'm just checking my Facebook page over here too as we go. What I mean by that is, how much money did you take in for the whole year? That's your gross sales. And the only thing that would not include your day job, but I mean related to your farm. So it could be all your products. Did you do flowers? Did you do U-Picks? Did you do a farm store? Did you do weddings? Consulting perhaps? Add that all together. Or meat. Add up all the different meat, the chicken, the pork, the turkeys, the eggs, the classes, the farm tours, anything you made on farm income, add that all together. That's your gross sales, and write that number down. And then on the line next to that, if you're following along in the workbook, Write your total expenses for the year. A lot of farmers don't know these numbers, and it's really hard to make decisions when you don't know this. Like, where are you on track for the whole year? What did you bring in? And what are your expenses for the whole year? If you don't know that, don't beat yourself up again, but it just uses it as feedback that it's time to start looking at these numbers. You're a business, you're a CEO. Even if your farm is tiny, like maybe it's a half an acre or huge, 10,000 acres. I have every size farm in my program, but you've got to know these two numbers. What did you do gross sales for all of last year? And what expenses did you have? Now, if you're finding this work in the middle of the year, do what I call the trailing 12. Look at the last 12 months. So if you find this podcast series in June, then go from June of this year to June of last year and look at what were your gross sales and what were your total expenses. And you can get your expenses by looking in QuickBooks if that's where you keep track of your expenses. Some farmers just use a simple spreadsheet, for example. So wherever you keep track of your expenses, that's what you're looking for. All right. And this way, you don't have a big end of year push before tax season to figure out where your expenses are if you keep track of them. If you're measuring them, or if you're at least looking at them a couple times a month, when it comes time to do your taxes, you won't have days and days of work to get caught up on. Okay. So I've heard that too. Just know you're probably doing your own bookkeeping. I did my own bookkeeping for probably the first 12 years. And then it's been just the last 5 years that I've actually had a bookkeeper, which is great. But even when I did all my own books myself, I always had these numbers at my fingertips. And it probably took me about an hour a week total to check in with all the numbers we're going through here today. So you'll want to spend the time, an hour a week, looking at your numbers, tracking them, entering your expenses, tracking your sales, just revisiting everything. Here's why. It's so much easier to make decisions about hiring and buying or investing in pieces of equipment or starting new product lines. It's much easier to make those decisions when you know what you're making in sales already and when you know what your expenses are. So that's why you want to know these numbers. And again, if you're years behind, some people say they're 3 or 4 years behind entering any receipts or doing their taxes. Don't worry, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up, but start now. Do get started. Start with today. Start with the most current year. Don't worry about going back 5 years ago. Start with today and work backwards. This will help you be more focused and constrained and clear and decisive. And you'll become so much more profitable and efficient because you do that. When you finally get caught up and then you stay caught up by revisiting your numbers, like maybe an hour a week is probably all you will need to do with it or to invest in it going forward, you will feel so much more in control and everything about your farm will be so much more managed. All right. So that's it. These are some really crucial numbers that you want to start tracking today if you've never tracked before. And it'll just help you feel in control. It'll help you be decisive. You'll be able to make far better decisions and you will be able to watch your farm profit grow just by knowing these numbers. And again, most important thing is don't make yourself wrong for any of these numbers. If you haven't tracked numbers till now, I know a lot of farmers say that they're just kind of scared. They don't know what the numbers mean, so they don't look at them. That's okay if that's been your past. But for right now, suspend all judgment and start writing these numbers down and revisiting them every week or every 2 weeks for 2026. And again, it just helps calm your life down. And it's the only way you can get to profit. You don't end up with a profitable farm by chance. Like you don't track any numbers and then you wake up one day and you're making a lot of money. It doesn't happen that way. You got to get in the habit of tracking these numbers. Once a week is ideal. And then over time, because you're tracking them, we can make goals to improve those numbers. And finally, you end up with your profitable farm. So what you pay attention to will grow. And that's what this 4-part episode, your 2026 farm business marketing plan, the whole intention of it is so that you're tracking everything you need to know in order to end up with more profit at the end of the 2026 than you've ever had before. And we'll just keep growing from there. Okay, so that's it for today. And next week, we're going to dive into the personal fulfillment part of the marketing plan. So stay tuned. You'll get that then. And then all 4 parts work together. You will feel so secure and confident going into 2026. And again, last thing, if you haven't signed up for the Farm Marketing Fix, it's my week-long live event in January on the 19th and 20th. And that's at charlottemsmith.com/masterclass. All right, I will see you there.